13 Questions by Man Transcending. Manhood in the Digital Age.
Welcome back to another episode of 13 Questions. This time we are joined by guest Todd Cave. But before we get into the interview portion of the show, I am joined as always by Adam Loyal. Adam, how are you?
What's up, Mr. Bill?
You know, I can't complain. I had a great time talking to Todd, and I ran into Todd via our mutual friend Jahan Sitar, who does Boundless Authenticity podcast and has been a past guest on the show. So check out his episode if you haven't yet already. But yeah, I saw Todd on Jahan's show, actually, speaking about some topics that you might not expect to come up in conversations about manhood and masculinity, like such as this podcast is geared towards. So it sparked my interest, and you'll hear it come up towards the end of the interview section too. So in the meantime, we do have a gratitude jingle, and the purpose of this jingle is to kind of connect our hearts and our minds together, and creating this love energy that we can keep and take with us moving forward now and throughout our day. So it's something that we do every show, and the jingle is brought to you by Sir Felix Ortega, and you can find him at sirfelixortega.bandcamp.com. And without further ado, the jingle goes a little something like this.
Gratitude, 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 oh gratitude. Gratitude, 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 oh gratitude.
So I thought for this episode, since we both got a package from Chance Provo Kid Blakelock, that we could do a joint gratitude segment, and we could do like a live unboxing from the swag that our friend sent us. Adam, did you want to open your box?
Sure.
I know that I got mine and couldn't contain my excitement and opened it first, but Adam, let's do yours. I'm interested to see what you have.
All right, let's pop her open.
All the good sound effects. And I did send Chance some stickers that we do have available up on an eBay store.
All right, sorry, I've been exploring. Very, very cool. So, I may actually already have some of these. These are so cool and in pristine condition. It is some Desert Storm Pro Set cards. And I used to collect these.
What?
Listen, when Desert Storm came around, I was really, really into the military. And I have a box somewhere of all of these like Desert Storm cards. This is that's cool. That is very stinking cool. As well as a deck of playing cards. Some Motor brand playing cards, which have motorcycles on them. Super stoked about that. My other podcast, we do a lot with cards, so this is getting pushed straight into the podcasting realm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and some very cool quotes. Some very well done, beautiful cards for Blakelock art.
What do your quotes say? Let's see if they match mine.
We kill time. Time buries us. Machado dos Assis.
Yep, it's a good one. Put on a nice black marble colored business card.
When God throws the dice, they are loaded. Greek proverb.
Oh yeah, I do. I use it as a bookmark.
And God bless you on the other side. We've got a
Okay.
beautiful piece of artwork. I don't necessarily agree with everything I say. Marshall McLawn. And a very handy little magnetic fold to hold things into. So yeah, this is cool. And actually, these are on my lap, so I'm not looking at them. Well, I'm not even going to say cool, a very warm tie-dye sweatshirt, which is awesome. I've actually been looking to get a replacement sweatshirt, and another very cool surfing t-shirt, a live free and surf all day shirt with a very cool skeleton hula girl on the front of it in orange. So yeah, this is awesome, man. Even double-sided printing. Yeah, well, these are going to get worn around here. Good Florida wear. This is an awesome shirt, and come December, you can have something cozy as well.
Oh yeah. He sent me 2 sweaters because he knows I'm in Michigan and it's cold here all the time.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Right now, I'm torturing the audience with my air conditioner buzz.
Oh, it's a cool sound effect we had in Studio One. What do you think
Actually,
of-
yeah, this is it's a special binaural beat that we put in the background.
Yeah, that's what it is. But yeah, I got
It's the harmonic hum,
I
an
got these-
AC hum.
the atom resonance instead of
Yes, the atom resonance, exactly. The sound of the atom resonance. I love it.
But yeah, I got a deck of cards too. It's a circuit, like a computer circuit board card, and then I also got some Desert Storm trading cards, which I thought was super cool just because it was random, and I enjoy stuff like that. I got I got Congress, which is a government.
You now own Congress. This is awesome.
I have the country of Iran, and then I have His Majesty King Hussein the First, which is a king of Jordan. His Majesty King Hussein bin Talal is a direct descendant of the Prophet Muhammad. He was proclaimed king of the Hashemite kingdom of Jordan on August 11th, 1952, at age 17. A regency council was appointed until his formal ascension to the throne on May 2nd, 1953. He married Her Majesty Queen Noor, who was an American, in 1978 and has 4 children. So, what were your cards? Did you get a?
I have military equipment.
Oh,
Yeah, so there's multiple launch rocket system, the MLRS, and that is mounted on an M2 Bradley chassis. So very, very cool, terrifying piece of equipment. Then there is the M11 armored personnel carrier, so another tank transport, and the USS Blue Ridge LCC-19, a Navy ship deployed during Desert Storm. Very cool stuff.
Yeah. Did you know that the Republic of Iran received more than 100 fleeing Iraqi airplanes during this war? That's another fun fact from this card. But yeah, it's super neat. I love sending random things in gifts. Adam has been the recipient of a few of those before from me.
Yeah, I mailed another one off to you. I've got a stone I've been wearing personally, and I like the effect, so I tracked down another one that appears to be from the same part of the country, quarry, same type of style. So I'm hoping to, or I'm not hoping, I'm interested in hearing your experience.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we have another live unboxing to look forward to on the show, and that's a perfect segue into this episode's edition of what stone are we going to add to our gratitude jar working spell. For those of you who this may be your first time listening, just to catch you up a little bit, the gratitude jar was just something that I decided to start up as another benefit or a way to give back to the listeners that decide to contribute monetarily, be it a one-time donation or a recurring of any amount. So it could be $1 once, It really doesn't, the amount doesn't matter, neither the time. So what this does is it gets your name written in purple ink, and I put it inside this jar, and this jar is surrounded with all these stones, and a lot of them thus far have been stones of the violet ray, and they're all colored purple and pink, right? And it is sitting on top of it. What I have on underneath of it right now is a green cloth, and that to me is kind of signifies the heart center, and the heart chakra. So yeah, the idea here is to tie our minds and our hearts together, kind of like what we did in the gratitude segment. And then in addition to that, we're going to use these frequencies that are held in these stones to kind of help facilitate that. And this episode's addition to the altar is stitch-tight and serpentine.
Interesting.
Yeah, which if you go back to episode 098, Alien Carvings, which is mentioned later on in this episode also, that is the episode in which I give the full list of all the stones that I plan on putting on this altar. Not to say that's going to be extensive or anything, but if you're looking for all one spot to where they're all listed out, that's definitely the episode to go check it out. It's a good place to start. But for this episode is stitch tight and serpentine, and I believe I think I just said stitch tight on that episode, but the piece I have is stitch tight and serpentine. Serpentine is kind of a greenish stone, and Adam can see it here. It's actually very, very purple, and the serpentine is inside, and you can kind of see a streak of it on the outside, but maybe I'll post a picture of it later. The source I will be using today is the Crystal Bible 3. It is by Judy Hall, who is the author of one of the other encyclopedias I've used before on the show. And this is a third Crystal Bible because there's new stones popping out of the ground all the time. So we have to keep updating our encyclopedias. But she writes, for the attributes of stitch tight and serpentine, at a very deep level, stitch tight and serpentine changes your core relationship with yourself, helping you to love and fully accept who you are. It nourishes body and soul so that emotional energy and spiritual intent flow freely in harmony. This gentle stone has an extremely soothing effect, grounding and centering the body and anchoring it to the earth so that your true self reveals itself in the physical dimension and simultaneously operates in multi-dimensions and time frames. Stitch tight and serpentine helps you to trace the source of emotional and psychosomatic dis-ease and to de-energize the events underlying it, no matter from which lifetime it arose. Once this energy drain is cleared, new patterns of positive self-regard and optimism are put in place. It is particularly helpful for eating disorders or self-destructive, self-deprecating behavior, as it enhances self-love and dissolves patterns of self-abuse arising out of a deep sense of inferiority and poor self-image. If you have never been able to speak about what has happened to you, the stone gently encourages you to verbalize and release what has been blocked for so long. If spontaneous, uncontrolled Kundalini rise occurs, stitch tight and serpentine helps to rebalance all the subtle bodies with the physical, attuning all the levels of your being and opening mystical consciousness and connection to all that is. The stone comes from the other side of the ocean to Australian Atlanticite, but has a similar connection to the ancient continents of Lemuria and Atlantis, helping you to explore your connection with those civilizations. And that is stitch tight and serpentine. And I will now add it to the rest of the stones. I've been adding these as we go, right? So they're not just all sitting there all together. I'm just moving them over onto the green cloth after we finish these intros, really. So it's kind of like this is an ongoing experiment. So if you like what you hear and it jives with you, if it resonates with you, then consider sending us some energy our way via PayPal or on LiberaPay, which links will be in the show notes for that. But if nothing else, what's even more important than treasure is time and talent, right, Adam?
Time, treasure, and talent, absolutely.
And so you can help by just sharing the show with somebody, and share it with somebody that you love, that you respect, that you know will find value in conversations like these, and maybe enjoys talking about aliens too, because we get into that a little bit here in this episode.
Spreading wisdom, connecting with other human beings. You know, we are all part of the same system, the same energy, the same species. We are so similar. So share the show, connect us together, let us grow. And yeah, wisdom is the most valuable thing you have. It's the knowledge is power. Yeah. Every comfort, every advance, everything that has pulled us out of the mud and allowed us to live a life where we can relax and it's not constant struggle. That is knowledge. So spread wisdom, spread knowledge. You change the world. You change the future.
You do. It's that simple. This is 13 Questions with Todd Cave. All right. Question number 1. What was the best advice ever given to you, and would you modify it at all today?
The best advice I was ever given is that you don't get things that you want, you get things that you have to have. And I find that because I'm a fitness coach, and a lot of people, when I talk to them, they're interested in losing weight or building muscle and stuff and getting in shape. And I find that a lot of people is like, yeah, I want to do this. But then when you start to talk to them a little bit, try to find out what they're doing, and because obviously nothing comes without sacrifice. So you always have to make changes in order to improve areas of your life. And a lot of people, believe it or not, they be like, no, I don't want to give up my favorite foods. I don't want to start doing this. I don't want to start doing that. And it's because they don't have to have it. They want it. Is why my mentor says you don't get things you want. You get things that you have to have. And when you have to have something, you go after it like your life depends on it. And you will move heaven and earth. You will move a mountain. Like in scripture says, the mustard seed will move the mountain. That's the kind of level that you need to chase after things. And I find that today in our society, we've been programmed to be a species of people that settle in life. And this is why we have a lot of mediocrity and a lot of just, confusion amongst the masses. So I wouldn't change that advice. And I would tell people that if they ever want to achieve anything in life, you don't deal with things you want. You deal with things that you have to have, or you make that the mentality that you have. And if you have to say, well, if my life depended on it, what would I do? How can I do it? Because one of my shaman, he said to me that you need to ask yourself, what or how? What can I do to improve things? How will I do things differently? And if I had known, what would I have done? And these questions allow you to create sort of like a peripheral view that you can use the experience as a way to learn and improve so that you don't make the same mistakes again. Because the problem that we have in our society is that because we live in a guilt and fear-based matrix, you find that people are so hooked up to their fears and traumas. And it is like a noose around your neck that's just getting tighter and tighter. So you have to overcome your fears and traumas in order to improve. But if it's something that you just want, the noose will stay around your neck. But if you have to have it, by gosh, you will find a way to get it off, So I think that this is a thing that people, should implement. And that's the best advice I was ever given.
Yeah, and that makes sense because, if something is a necessity, it's gonna manifest. But if it's just something that you just desire out of just desire, right? Then it's not in line with your highest good and your highest self. So, it's not something you have to have. And so the longer you chase it is basically like wasting energy, right?
Absolutely.
Question number 2. What do you willfully ignore?
What do I willfully ignore? Well, what I ignore is all the propaganda that is in the media, all the negative energy that is on the planet, and I just ignore most things that are in the public discourse. Now, at the same time, I use the word monitor. I check and see what's going on, but I willfully ignore it because when I first started to learn the things that I know now, I was that guy. And everyone that starts to come into a little bit of knowledge, they always pass to this stage. You want to tell everybody, you want to save the world, you want to change the world, you know what I mean? You got this newfound knowledge, and what happens is that you pay attention to every news story, everything that people talking about, everything that, you know what I mean, you want to say, well, look, I've got the evidence to push back against, and you want to be that guy, that girl. So now I don't even consume media. Yes, I have people I follow and I check in, but purely to see, well, what's the latest narrative, where we're going, and then from that, I willfully ignore the rest because there are only two energies that exist in the world: love and fear. And me now, I am aligned to the love energy and all its derivatives: happiness, abundance, kindness, compassion, all of that. And you can't manifest anything positive from a negative space or with negative energy. It is natural law, it's the law of the universe. And it's just like you can't plant an apple seed and expect an orange tree. So why do you expect or think or believe that you can consume loads of negative information, be around negative people all the time, and you don't end up becoming negative? So what I do is I willfully ignore the vast majority to keep myself sane so that I am informed but not misinformed, or I'm attached to this ideology, belief, or what someone says. It's like, okay, that's interesting, and ignore the rest, because you have to take care of your inner peace, and you have to take care of your kingdom within, because if you don't, it will be taken from you. And that is the plan that these that our overlords are trying to bring about.
Yeah, no, I like that. It's along the lines that the universe can conspire for you. But if you're holding all those negative thoughts and playing that game, then, what manifests is going to be in that same realm. So, yeah, keeping it clean is just allowing you to, allow the world to give you the things that you need, that you're consuming, that you're focusing on.
Yeah, it's like the universe is conspiring for you, and no matter like what you're striving after, it's going to reflect it back to you. So if you're thinking of all these negative thoughts, right, then if you're giving your peace away to these propagandists, then that's who is disrupting your heart and mind connection. That takes away your peace. You're giving power to that, and then that's not good. But at the same time, we have to keep track of like what the current narrative is, just to be
well, you
aware
got to know the environment that you're in. You got to know the dangers. There's wolves out there. If you're in the ocean, there might be a shark, a gator in that water. So, you do got to be aware of what you're living in. But you don't want those things to live within you.
Yeah. It's like peeking under a rock now for me whenever I check up on the media. It's like seeing what they're doing and then shutting it real quick and then going about my business.
Yeah, nice shout out to the No Agenda Show podcast. That's I stick there for my news twice a week and then just don't pay attention to the rest. I feel very cleansed.
They have to do, man. You have to protect your energy, because like Nikola Tesla said, when humans start to think in the terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, they unlock the keys to the universe. And when you realize that you have an energy body, you are energy, you vibrate. And when you start to understand that, then you realize you have to be very careful about your diet. But your diet is not just the food you eat, it's the friends you keep, it's the information you consume, it's the books you read, and all those things create your perception of the world and life. And your perception is what you base to create your reality. So, when people start to think of their diet like that, then they realize that you have to look for either positive diet or negative diet. And then, you could go down the rabbit hole in terms of even to the food that you eat, because we know that the food that we eat today is full of chemicals, man. Like I was reading a book. I'll look for the name here now so I get it right, but it was mad because he's saying that they have like over 10,000 chemicals that's in modern food, and these chemicals are just created to bring down your energy, stress your hypothalamus, which controls your hormones, and then make you sick and fat. It's called The Weight Loss Cure. They don't want you to know what they don't want you to know about, by Kevin Trudeau. Very interesting book. And over 10,000 chemicals in food. It's like you can make that up, So even in terms of the food that you eat, you have to make sure it's organic. If not, it's not going to do anything good for your body, because all this GMO stuff, there's no energy in it. There's no life in the food. The food is dead, so you're eating dead food. So you become a dead person,
Yeah, we were talking about this not too long ago. Adam had brought up the connection between, I think maybe I just made it up in my mind. Adam, correct me if I'm wrong, but like there's certain dyes in food, like red number 40 or green 3 or yellow, whatever, right? But they've corresponded them to specific ailments within the human body. And I think the green dye had to deal with headaches and migraines, which is why I was thinking about Adam, because I know that he deals with that on a semi-regular basis.
Oh yeah, I eat very few processed foods. I just went to the supermarket. My crazy things were some lime Gatorade, some Pepperidge Mills cookies, and a bag of pretzels. Otherwise, it's pretty much just, fresh cooked local foods, eggs, 3 ingredient, hot sauce. So yeah, I have to avoid things like the plague for all of those ingredients. It's crazy out there, which you have to deal with in the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And on a note too, just because, people don't understand how those things can affect how they think. I had a friend that was having really bad behavioral problems with one of her children. She had like 4 boys, and one of them was really, really bad. And they were going through everything, therapy, counseling. And they ended up finding the Feingold diet and putting him on that. And it was essentially just removing a ton of different things, artificial colors, preservatives, flavorings. And his behavior went to where he was no longer having temper tantrums. He was no longer getting outbursts and angry and attacking his brothers. He turned into just a normal, calm kid. So go years later, he has a birthday, and he wants to have something special. So they're like, okay, well, we'll get you some Oreos. He gets Oreos, and he has the same thing. He starts throwing temper tantrums, getting, upset. And it's like, okay, well, clearly this child is reacting to things in this food. And there could be so many things going on where kids are getting prescribed medications or different things. And it could be as simple as, one or multiple ingredients in, what they're being exposed to. And then that goes for people as well. It's really important to concentrate on those things. I guess I'm lucky or unlucky. I get migraines with so many things that, I have to be a label reader.
Yeah, well, I did a walk and talk video on my Instagram this week, actually talking about reading labels, because most of the processed food is full of sugar, refined sugar, high fructose corn syrup, and those things are terrible, man. Like the levels of addiction that people have to those ingredients is on the same level that people have with heroin and crack cocaine, because it's almost like if someone tells you that, oh, I just couldn't help but eat that thing, they're not really lying, because that level of addiction is just on par with those hard drugs, and this is why we have but the real pandemic we have is obesity, fatness and obesity, because like Europe and North America have at least 70% fat and obese people. That's a crazy number. And when you look back at photos of people on the beach in the 60s and 70s, most people were pretty, I don't use the word thin, but fit. You know, they didn't really have much body fat on
The
them.
processed foods just weren't there. There was preservatives and things, but look at your ingredients now. Outside of the sugar, just the amount of vegetable oils and hydrogenated oils and things that we've never processed, previous to now are now being regular foods. So, yeah, when everybody's having heart attacks, getting fat, having issues, it's kind of clear it's something we're putting in us somehow.
Absolutely.
All right, moving on to question number 3. What book has been most influential in your life and why?
Now, that is a hard question because I've read so many books, but I can't say one book. There have to be 3 books. And the first book that really blew my mind was The Life and Teaching of the Masters of the Far East. This book is amazing because this book was, it was not written, it is more a research, a collation of the notes, because a group of 30 scientists went to the Far East between 1890 and 1920, and they went to observe the ascended masters in that region, Tibet, India, and stuff. And these masters were 400, 500, and 600 years old. There were women masters as well. They looked no day over 30, 40, and they were all Christ. Christ, the word Christ just means anointed one, because the word Christ comes from Christos, which is Greek, and it just means the anointed one. And these guys were healing sick exactly like Christ. These guys were walking on water exactly like Christ. And these guys were manifesting from their hands from the ether. And these are mainstream Western American scientists that went and just wrote what they see. And that is the book. Now, the book is like, the audiobook form, each section is like 7.5, 9 hours long. So we're talking about almost 24 hours of reading and listening, The next book that I like, again, very, very influential to me, was the I Am Discourse trilogy from Saint Germain. So you have the I Am Discourse, you have the Magic Presence, then you have Untold Mysteries. So Saint Germain is an ascended master, and he taught many, many things. And then the other book was the Bhagavad Gita, which is a story with Krishna and Arjuna. And fun fact for you, Christos, the anointed one, Christ in Latin, and Krishna in Sanskrit. So it's the exact same consciousness. So that book was those 3 books together really, really have influenced me, because the Life and the Teaching of Master of the Far East showed me what is actually possible. Because before we were recording, we were talking about we could do all these things, like maybe even fly and stuff. Well, these masters were teleporting. They were just leaving their body in status and just manifesting themselves, teleporting in another place, So that book showed me what is possible. And then, the mighty I Am power, which is the God power in you, the Christ consciousness in you, that through that is where you realize your true being, right? Because you're really the God man, you're God, but just expressing itself individually in a physical body, And the Gita was very influential because it made me realize that I think one of the single biggest challenges we have in this third dimension is attachments. And you attach to a girl, a job, having a certain amount of money, living in this place. And when those things don't go the way you want them, it causes you to feel upset. and you're upset because you're attached to that thing. So Krishna told Arjuna that you need to look at a rock, a lump of gold, the same way you look at a useless rock. And he says you need to be able to just throw away the gold the same way you throw away the rock. And he says that this is how you get rid of your attachments. So the faster you get rid of your attachments, the happier you become, because instead of asking yourself, like, why me? Ask yourself, well, what can I learn? What can I do different? How can I improve? What would I have done differently? So, this is why I couldn't have just one book. Those three books together would be like, it's like a trilogy. That information that is definitely influenced me on major levels.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm a huge fan of the I Am discourses also. I've actually just finished reading the first three that you mentioned, and I bought 4 or 5 books, 4, 5, and 6. So I'm starting on those, and that's absolutely like, yeah, Saint Germain and that story, like especially the first two. They're talking about all the ancient civilizations, and man, it's just so cool.
Yeah, you remember the story that I can't remember which one it was. I think it was Untold Mysteries, where Saint Germain had a student, and the student used to have to hike for like 2-3 hours to go and see him in the Rockies, I think it was, from memory. And just as Saint Germain was about to manifest and appear, a panther came, and you know what I mean? The guy, when he saw the panther, he said that he was about to get afraid, and literally his I am came into him in full glory and told him to send the panther love and to walk to the panther and, well, not verbally, but energetically communicate all the love he had for the panther. And then the panther walked to him, and the book was saying that his pupils stopped being dilated and just went to like normal. And the panther came and sat next to him and walked around him, putting his head on his leg and encircling him. And then Saint Germain appeared, right, and said, "Okay, my son, I didn't set that challenge for you, but you've passed it. So now I can teach you higher things." And I had goosebumps because I was like, okay, I'm reading this book and this is the path I'm choosing to walk. But can you imagine you see a wild animal, right? And you're in the jungle or wherever. The first reaction would be to get scared. But you know what I mean, his I am just came inside of him and just controlled the situation and just sent it love. And that panther, I think Saint Germain said the panther never ate another human again and never hunted again after that as well. So that story gave me chills.
Yeah, that panther, like he was hiking up Mount Shasta, I think it was Mount Shasta, and the panther like became his guardian. Like he would leave his body and go get, go have these teachings, and the panther would stay there and like guard his body on other trips. So it was like a little panther guardian. It was so cool. Yeah, it was neat, just a neat story. But it reminds me of, we have a friend of the show, Derek Condit, who is a beekeeper, and he can also perceive energies in a different way. So when he works with the bees, he doesn't use smoke to calm them down. He just goes in like he normally would, and just by being in the heart-mind coherence and sending love energies to the bees, they leave them alone, right? And you can grab them and stuff them, move the queen around if a new nucleus, or a new, they call them nooks, uh, like a new hive starts to form or whatever, or if he has to go harvest honey or whatever, he doesn't wear the suit or nothing. He just walks in there and does his thing and respects the bees, and they don't bother him. They let him alone. So I know it's not a panther, but I imagine it's the same principle at work, though, right?
Oh, definitely. A bunch of bees attacking you, that's scary, man. You know what I mean?
I'll cuddling a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, man. Like bees sting, man. Bees sting. That's amazing. It just goes to show you how powerful and how great we are that he could do something like that. And before reading that book, the Saint Germain series, I would have been a little bit skeptical. But after reading that, I have no doubt that is exactly how you say it is. No doubt at all.
Yeah, and you like when you to first start off answering this question, you had mentioned Christ and how Krishna and all these people are talking about the same thing, and that even Jesus in the Bible said that we are all supposed to be able to do these things and even greater, right? So like this isn't these supernatural things that we think of supernatural. They're not really supposed to be supernatural. They're just natural. We just don't remember how to use them, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, it's super. I love it. I love this conversation. So I'll continue with question number 4. What rule do you have for yourself that you never break, and why do you think that it's important?
So a rule that I have is that I honor my word. And for me, the reason is that if I don't honor my word, it means that people can never take me seriously. And we have a saying in Barbados, because I'm from Barbados, that a good reputation is worth more than fine gold. And I believe that you must have integrity, and if you say something, you must do it. Now, the caveat in that is that the integrity comes in keeping your word is the moment you realize that you can't deliver that thing is when you let the person know that you can't do it. Because most of the time, people don't really get upset because you don't deliver. People get upset when they're not informed in good time that you can't deliver. Because let's be honest, I mean, sometimes you may have miscalculated or you made a mistake. And when you realize, oh no, I made a mistake, your integrity should be, I will tell that person that I can't. And then, because you always know, because if you say, well, give me 2 weeks to do something, after like maybe a week, excuse me, even a week and a half, you may be realizing, you know what, this is not possible. That's when you tell the person, right? So you're not, excuse me, breaking your word, right? Because you're just saying, well, listen, things have changed because, and then you set another date. But the rule I don't break is that I don't break my word, because your word means everything, and your words mean nothing unless they're backed up by actions.
Absolutely. I mean, the especially with picking like being having a podcast, and I'm sure you have experience with this too, like scheduling, like when people say that, meet at a time and place on this date, it's kind of reminds me of like not having like pre-cell phone days, right? Like you would just agree and then hope they showed up at this point in time. So it's kind of a re-experiencing that type of thing with booking guests and doing a podcast. So it's still nice to know that there's people out there that are able to honor and keep appointments. I guess at least I guess what I'm saying.
No, it's true. It's true. Look, I have it with my students as well, because you know because I work with all of my students are spiritually inclined, because that's who I am. So you attract what you are. And all of my students make their calls on time. 4, 5, 6 minutes here and there. That's I would only count that as anything. When you start getting down to 15, 20, 30 minutes, then, well, hold on, what's going on here? Because like sometimes, like, and this happened to me before, where I've turned on my computer and it just updated. you know so then you have to there wait, right? So things like that happen, right? But yeah, man, I'm very, very big, and I'm a stickler for keeping my word, because what people don't understand is, if people can't believe you, they won't trust you. And if they don't trust you, they won't do business with you. They won't help you if you need help. They won't open doors for you. You know what I mean? Integrity is probably one of the major cornerstones of, the human experience for it to go well. Because like today we agreed a time, and you know what I mean? You didn't have to chase me. I didn't have to chase you. It was like, it was done. And what I do, because to keep myself organized, I put everything in my calendar. So once I put it in my calendar, it comes up, and I'm like, okay, well, this is what I'm doing tomorrow. So, people, there's one of the reasons why we live in such a fake world, because a lot of people are not honest with themselves. So going back again to, you can't give someone something you don't already have. So if you're not honest with yourself, of course you're not going to be honest with other people, right? Because all you're doing is projecting onto other people who and what you are. So, you got to get right with yourself first, and then, you can give that to other people. Because if you don't, because like men would complain, oh, there are no good women out there. Women will complain, oh, there are no good men out there. But I bet you my last pound in my pocket that all of those guys and girls that complain about there are no good guys and no good girls out there have all been mean to men or women. Oh, so it's only obvious that, what I mean, people are gonna be mean to them because they're mean people, right? You can't be a mean person and expect people to treat you well. It's not possible. It will never work. It will never happen. So this is what people fail to realize and to see the bigger picture.
Question number 5. If I were to ask your best friend, what is the one thing they would say you need to work on the most and why?
Interesting question. So one of the things is my friend would say that I get super focused, right? And sometimes to the point where it'd be like over consuming. So sometimes then I have to learn to, yes, you focus on something, but you have to have you can't just dedicate everything to it and neglect everything. It's like instead of having like a one-track mind, you commit to something, but you can't let it take over your world. So that would the thing I would say that I need to work on, and I've been working on it a lot, of recent because when you run your own business and you're an entrepreneur, you work harder than when you're actually an employee because you commit. But then you have to still realize that you still have a personal life as well. And if you don't have a personal life, you will not be able to. Yes, you can do it for a time, but again, the mind needs a break. The mind needs to have fun and to detach. It's just like, again, over consuming on negative information. So everything in life is balance. And I'm really working hard to have balance in my life now, and not just work all the time.
Yeah, especially when it's, when you're self-employed or you're passionate about something or you've got, something you're really into, as opposed to like a normal desk job, right? Like it's like you never stop working. It's because it's your passion project, right? And so you're always, thinking about that one thing. Running your own business is a perfect example, but then at the same time, it's like you were saying, it's hard to check yourself and realize that there's other responsibilities besides that, like you were saying, your personal life or your spiritual life, even, right?
Absolutely.
Speaking of spiritually, question number 6: what turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Well, um, talking about things that we were talking about things of a higher level of consciousness, talking about spirituality. Those things definitely turn me on because, like, I find that now I like to talk to people that vibrate on the same frequency as me. I mean, because you can learn something from everyone. And for me now, is a matter of like hearing the different sides of because what we've been taught to think linearly, that truth is just linear, but in reality, truth is multifaceted, multi-sided, and multidimensional. So there's always a different side. Like, just a classic example, you can see red here, I can see black on this side, but we're both telling the truth. We're both actually telling the truth, but this is your truth and this is my truth. So one is black and one is red. So, you know, this is why I like having conversations, because I get the opportunity to see from your side, okay, yes, you are correct. That is red. And then when I flip the phone, you say, well, yes, that side is black because it's a screen and it's off. So conversations like this are what turn me on creatively, spiritually, and emotionally, because like it feels good to be able to, what should I say, be yourself, listen to people that, can inspire you, teach you, educate you. So yeah, definitely conversations like these are what turn me on.
No, I absolutely love that answer and how truth is multifaceted. We had a previous guest who talked about the fact that, there's a relationship between you and I and me and Bill in this conversation right now. I have my own thoughts, my own ideas of what the words in my head mean and their representations. And then you have those. And then we talk and then we come to this agreement and this understanding. We have a relationship between us. But that's all based on an understanding that's somewhere in the middle. And once you start to understand that that's really where everything stands between people is in this like the space between us, I don't know, it gets less scary.
It's true.
Well said. Question number 7. What was the most embarrassing or humbling experience of your life?
The most humbling experience I ever had was when I had major life-changing surgery on my foot 5.5 years ago. When I tell you that everything that I thought was important or mean to me or I valued, it was all taken away from me as a consequence of that surgery. I call the last 5.5 years my refinement period. Like how Christ went into the wilderness and had to be refined. I very much have my last 5.5 years akin to that because I was on crutches for 15 months and I gained loads and loads of weight. I was really, really depressed. I was consuming a lot of negative information and a lot of negative food. I got involved with a very terrible person that she basically tried to destroy me. And, it really shook me, everything, because when I had the surgery, it was like a series of dominoes started to fall, one after the next, after the next, after the next, after the next. Then when you add in the physical pain I was in because I had a metal frame drilled into my foot. And the pain level was minimum 8.5 on a good day. And on a bad day, I would say it was a 9.5. And I had 7 out of 10 nines for 3 months straight. The pain was so bad, so strong that I used to stay up late at night simply because I wanted to be so tired that I would just like sleep. You know what I mean? That the body was shut down. So I used to end up going to bed at 5 o'clock in the morning, just to be so tired that I could sleep till like 12 o'clock. So then now most of the half of the day is gone already, So yeah, that was the most humbling like experience I've ever had because, a, a lot of people that would like want to get into like self-improvement, self-development and stuff. Sometimes you don't have a choice. Like for me, yes, I was into those things, but if you had told me, okay, Todd, well, quit your job, go to another country with another language and go and teach people all these things that you know, and for a few years you're gonna make no money, you're going to be just winging it, you're gonna have loads and loads and loads and loads of challenges, and you're gonna cry a lot, but Todd, it's gonna be all right in the end, right? Don't worry, just trust the process. I'd be like, hell no. You know what I mean? I'm accustomed to traveling 2 or 3 times a year, making good money, enjoying life, then to have to give all of that up again, which we thought was important, to go on this journey of knowing yourself, learning yourself. I would tell you, no way, no thank you, Even what I know now, honestly, to have to relive that again, no, I wouldn't want to, but it humbled me, like on levels that proverbially I felt metaphorically like I was in a ditch, bare broken bones, bloody, loads of snot coming out my nose, eyes black and blue. That's how I felt because so many things happened to me. It was like back to back to back, and it was like, is it not gonna stop? You know, like how much more can I bear, right? But when you have to have something, honestly, there are a lot of times that I felt like giving up, but something would always happen, and mostly it would be I would find a book that would like literally at what I was going through at that time, I needed that book, or I would hear a podcast, or someone would do a video on YouTube, and it was like at that particular moment I needed that. And honestly, that is how I got through the last 5.5 years. And I was humbled by it. Now, like I'm a completely different person. I have died to the person that I was, and which is the allegory of the crucifixion of Christ. Because what people don't realize is that the allegory, because don't forget, there's like we said, there's multi levels to truth. So Christ said, "Pick up your cross and follow me." He says you need to die to this world. Some of us may need to die a physical death, but some of us may have like a emotional death, a spiritual death, a consciousness death to the person that we were, right? The idea of who we think we are, the attachment to that thing. So it's really the allegory is that you die to that old self. And that's pretty much what I did. And now I look back, I don't even recognize the man I was 5.5 years ago. Because like it's only 5.5 years, but it seems like an eternity that never would want to meet that guy again, ever.
Imagine what the next guy's going to say.
This is it, because you're always improving, or at least those that are looking to improve, you're always evolving, so you're never the same every day. It's like bit by bit, step by step, paso a paso, poco a poco. Once you looking for it, you'll find it. This way scripture says, seek and ye shall find, knock and the door shall be open to you. So like we us three here, we're active seekers, so we will find what we want. But those that are not actively looking, they're just going to stagnate, and that's where the suffering comes from. But you have to pass through this process. I don't see it any other way, because when you mine gold or any precious metal, or any metal for that matter, to refine it, you have to put it in the fire, and the fire refines it. Get out the impurities, and that's how I felt. That's why I call it my refinement period, because I felt the fire was so hot that it felt metaphorically like pimples were coming out of my skin. That's how it felt. It was so hard, right? Like sometimes I look back and I'm like, how did I get through it? But I guess we have these special powers that we can just overcome, and we don't realize how great we are, So that experience definitely humbled me on levels that I don't even know if I have enough words in the English language to describe how humbling it was,
In the start, you said it was 5 years ago with a surgery on your foot.
Yeah, 5.5 years ago.
And would you mind sharing, and maybe not go into all the nitty gritty details, but how did you end? Where did you start? Like, what were you doing when the foot injury happened? And then you obviously had like a career change, it sounds like, and then you ended up in Mexico. And so, can you give us kind of like a cursory, just like a snapshots of, if you can,
Sure. So I have to take it back to, let me see, wow, 17 years ago. Was it? Yes, 17 years ago, going 18. I had a motorcycle accident when I went on holiday to Barbados, because I was born in Barbados and I left there when I was a young man, and I went to the UK to study, and I got a job in the UK. So I came home to Barbados for a month. So it was supposed to be a month before I go back up to work. But I got in a motorcycle accident, and that accident literally changed the entire trajectory of my life. First thing, I wasn't able to play impact sports anymore because the ankle was severely damaged. and the foot never ever healed, to any level that would allow me to have like a good sport in life, like for fun. So what happened is that I was told that I would need probably surgery in the future again to correct these issues. But I knew that eventually it would happen. And let me see, yeah, 5.5 years ago, I was dating a girl in Colombia, and I went to Colombia to see her literally this month, 6 years ago. Wow, jeez, how ironic is that? So we went because she had lived in her barrio. Is very very steep, so we were walking up the hill, and I would never forget. I was walking, and all of a sudden, I felt my foot seize up, and my foot has done that before, but so I never really paid attention to it. But by the end of the evening, my foot was still sore and still hurting me. I knew something was wrong. Anyway, I went back to the UK and saw the orthopedic surgeon. And he said to me basically, well, you need to have this surgery. So he said, you have three options. You either do nothing. I either do the surgery this way, like to clean up between the two bones to let the cartilage grow back, or I fuse your ankle. But I didn't like the idea of fusing the ankle. And I didn't like the idea of leaving it alone because I was in so much pain, right? Like I couldn't even walk properly, literally. So I got the surgery, and to explain it is like it's called an Elizarov frame. It was a Russian guy that invented it, and they drill metal rods in your foot, and they attach a frame to the rods. And what it does is that it separates the bones to allow the cartilage to grow back in the middle. So when I woke up, I mean, like I said, I did the research and knew what the surgery was like, but looking at something in pictures and actually seeing it live in your foot, that's a completely different level. But I remember when I woke up for the surgery and I saw it, I was like, what have I done? But obviously it was too late, right? I would never forget the emotion I had that was in me. I knew literally when I woke up for surgery, because it was a major surgery as well. It was like 6 hours. It costed like £12,000, and when I woke up, I was like, I knew my life was changed forever. I didn't know what my life would look like, but I knew it was changed. And that surgery basically, and then the accident, obviously I had 17 years prior, pushed me to be the person I am, to be the coach, to speak to you today. If it weren't for that surgery, I would never be speaking to you today. That is 100% because my life would have gone in a different trajectory, So yeah, that's basically the high level of how it happened. And I was in Colombia, I mean, when it started up, and because like even like now I have only air conditioning in my flat. I couldn't do that like 6 years ago. My foot would absolutely hurt. But now the foot is a lot better. It's not perfect, but I can manage, and I wouldn't be able to hike, but I can walk, like semi-long distances, and it'd be okay. So that's how it changed my life.
Well, I thank you for the foot. Then express some gratitude there, so because it allowed us to talk. So everything happened for a reason, like you were saying, right? Question number 8. What is your greatest fear? How did you overcome it, if you have?
This is a very good question, because I think my greatest fear was lack of belief in myself, not thinking that I am good enough. And it took, again, it was because of the surgery that pushed me down this self-development road that I learned, like only recently, like I'm talking in the space of like the last 8-10 months, I realized that was really my fear, because I didn't realize it, because from my own journey, and also because I'm a fitness coach, I talk to a lot of people, and I realized that most people have the same fear, and or some derivative of it, and that is they think they're not good enough in some form. But the thing about it, what is really tricky about it, is that most of the time, it is a subconscious fear. It is not a conscious fear, right? And because it's subconscious, excuse me, it is very difficult to overcome because it's difficult to access the subconscious in general. It takes doing like plant and animal medicines. It takes doing meditation. It takes even spending time on your own to realize that is a subconscious fear, right? And what I would say is that how I got over it, honestly, right? I think it was just like, I think I was just tired of suffering. But because, like Confucius said, or is it Lao Tzu, pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. And what I realized is that all of my challenges were coming because I didn't think I was good enough. And I couldn't understand why. And it got to a point where, like, one of my mates, he said to me, "But Todd, I don't understand why you think that about yourself. You've got all these talents and skills. You're so good at this. You explain things in such a very comprehensive way that people that don't are not specialists in the things you talk about can understand you. I don't understand why you say you're not good enough." But even then, when he said that to me, I couldn't understand. And it took reading the Saint Germain books, and then the Bhagavad Gita, and then I did a ceremony of Bufo Alvarez with one of my mates here in Mexico, and he was studying to be a shaman at the time, so he needed to get his ceremonies to practice and stuff. So obviously he's my mate, so he invited me to do a ceremony with him, and I did a ceremony, and I had just finished reading the Saint Germain books, and the month before I had finished the Bhagavad Gita. And what I'm about to tell you is literally no word of a lie. This is absolute gospel truth. When I smoked the bufo on the second pipe, the bufo literally spoke to me. Now, I've done a lot of psychedelics in my time. I've done bufo many times, but this particular experience was so profound. The bufo spoke to me. This is a conversation in my head with me and the bufo, which probably was my higher self, right? So the bufo asked me, "Todd, why do you think the way you think about yourself?" I said, "This is in my head." I said, "I don't know." Bufo asked me, "So when you think about yourself negatively, how do you feel?" I says, "Well, I feel a little bit bad." That's okay. "So what happens when you continue to think negative about yourself?" I said, "Well, I feel even worse." He says, "Okay. And what happens after that?" I said, "Well, I feel even more worse." So the bufo asked me again, "Todd, why do you continue to think about yourself like this?" Literally, I had no answer. I was like, like when you put a little bit of truth in front of a normie and you see how they start to process the information, is like, hold a minute, a little shock to the system. That was how I was. Again, there's a conversation in my head with the bufo, and I couldn't say anything. I just like stood still, said nothing. And then obviously as I came down from the trip and I was talking to him, I said, "Dude, I had one of the most profound experience in my life. I'm not sure what it all means right now, but I know I need some time to process this." And from that moment, gradually, I started to realize that it was this subconscious fear of not being good enough that was affecting everything in my life: relationships, business, friendships, you know what I mean? Taking risks, confronting my fears and overcoming challenges. So I don't think it's not one thing that I did, but I think because I was tired of suffering, I found those books. And then when I did the bufo with him, then is like all the stuff I read was like just put straight in my face, like, hey, look here. This is what you want. Look here, right? So I was forced to look at myself in the mirror. And then, like, as I started to rewire my brain with how I feel about myself, then, like, now I can tell you with all conviction of myself that I am God. I am great. You are God. Adam is God. We're all great, right? We're all God individually expressing ourselves in a unique way. And we all have these God powers. But before, I would never have uttered a statement like that because I would have been like, well, I'm afraid of like what people think about me. But, as they say, a lion cares little of the opinions of sheep, right? So this is what I tell myself now. So yeah, sorry for the long answer, but that's basically how I was able to overcome my fear of not being good enough. But it was a very long process, to be honest.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that was quite the answer. And yeah, but you mentioned the quote, "Pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice," and that's there's something that I think I read recently in one of the Saint Germain books is that you can either a lot of people make that choice to go through life with suffering, but it is really just a choice. I mean, you can do it joyously, which is more preferable, right? And I think in the Bible, Jesus talks about having a light yoke, right? That's something that's easy to carry. So it's all about free will. So
True, true.
question number 9: what is your single greatest driving force in life, and how do you further it?
Right now, my driving force is that I want to share the information that I have learned in the last 5.5 years with as many people as possible, because a lot of people now are going through the equivalent of what I went through 5.5 years ago. With this whole pandemic and people basically losing their mind. Now, I can say that I know what it feels like because I almost had a mental breakdown because of it. And so for me now is like I can speak from experience because I've been through it. I know what it's like, you know? And now, because I've been blessed and given discernment, because I have chosen to be used as just a vessel to communicate what the Father, Mother, Source, Universal Consciousness, whatever word you want to use, God, doesn't matter, same thing. I have chosen to just be a vessel to communicate. So my driving force now is to try to help, spread this message, because there's something called the 100th monkey effect, and this was a study that was done where, like, this monkey, he started to wash his vegetables and fruits in the lake, and they found that after the 100th monkey learned to do that, monkeys around the planet just simultaneously just started to wash their food, and there is the 100th monkey effect that we have in terms of upgrading our consciousness. And the more people that start to vibrate higher, we can actually change the consciousness on the planet, but we have to change ourselves. So the problem that we have is that we try to save the world, but you must save yourself. And in saving yourself, then you can share, because again, you can't give someone something you don't already have. You can't talk about things that you've never been through. You can't tell people experiences that you've never had. So, I'm speaking like I have fallen from glory. Had a great job, living life well, you know what I mean? Like, never had issues with money. And it's like you take all of that away from me, right? And it's like I had to like create myself from anew. So my passion and my driving force now is to speak to as many people, do as many podcasts as possible, to give people hope that they can also do what I did. And I'm just a normal guy. right? Yes, I am God, and yes, you are God. Yes, they are God, but we need to realize that in ourselves. And it's only until we realize that we can change what is happening on the planet. Because the issue we have on the planet is that we are acquiescing. Our silence means our consent. But if we change ourselves individually and vibrate higher, the Son of Man will return at a faster pace, because Christ said that the Son of Man will return like lightning, striking in the east and flashing in the west. That's the return of Son of Man. And we all are sons of man. We're children of God. We all become Christ. You don't worship Christ, you become Christ. You anoint yourself with your glory. You put on your crown chakra and wear it with pride. So my driving force now is to, yes, um, spread the word, but also teach, inform, and educate people that they can take up their cross and they can walk the path of Christ, because it is the only way that we're going to get out of this. We have to change ourselves. We have to go deep inside and find the kingdom within. And if we don't, we will cease to exist as a species, because with transhumanism coming in, we won't be homo sapiens anymore. We be homo cyborgs. You know what I mean? So, I just doing my best to, influence in the small zone of influence I have, and tell people a bunch of books that I read, and, let them do it themselves, because I can't do the work for you, but you can do it for yourself. And if people like hear my story and hear the things I talk about and it resonates with them, well, I can say, well, look, there's the book. You go and read, check that out. You may, like you said, lift up the rock and say, hey, you may want to look here, that might be interesting to you. And then leave it for them to lift up the rock when they want, So that's really my driving force now, because I just seem to, like, I never know what I'm going to say. And I just have given my whole corpus to source, and I'm just a vessel, and I just communicate this message as best as I can, and do my best to stay within that frequency of love so that I can keep receiving, because service to others is the only way we're going to get out of this. We have to stop serving ourselves, because in serving others you serve yourself, because the more you give, like Saint Germain says in his discourse, the universe can keep giving you more. And the more you give, the more you receive, to the point where you're going to have to be giving away tranches of stuff, because you're going to have so much that you can just get tired of receiving. So you just give it away as fast as possible. And that's the state I want to get. I want to get into a situation where as soon as I get it, give it away, because it would just hold me down. And I want to be free and light, So that is my driving force.
Yeah, since sounds a lot like manifesting abundance, just having so much that you give away. It's like the end goal right there. What it sounds like. And yeah, the 100 monkey thing is super interesting. I think that's got to have something to do with like quantum entanglement. Like I'm not quantum physics or physicist or anything like that, but yeah, it all starts with just one person, right? Us as individuals recognizing our own power and then working out from there. And that's how we achieve,
Oh, yeah. It lines up very well with Rupert Sheldrake's morphic resonance. This idea that the more times that a human being or a rat or something does something over and over again, the better it gets at doing it. And the next time you go, it's already built in. He talks about this with creating new substances like a crystal. You're synthesizing this thing for the first time. And when you start to synthesize it, it's a slower process. And over time, no matter where you do it, no matter who's doing it, the process speeds up to a point, at least up to a measurable point. And so it's the idea of 100th monkey syndrome, human beings, that, part of the evolution is we keep doing things over and over and over and find the better and better ways. And then the thoughts, the ideas, those things within us, I like to think of it even in the way that if a helicopter or an airplane, a shadow appears over you and you drop and duck, you haven't been exposed to any attacks from creatures or predators from the air in probably a really long time, but you still have that memory built in to react to it. So, Yeah, there really does seem to be a lot of science behind, that everything that you are doing, even the thoughts and the way that you're doing things and failing and then succeeding, is making everybody around you better.
Agreed.
Question number 10. Who are or were your role models and why?
Oh, that's a good question. So, wow, I never really thought of role models that I had, but I would say now my role models are the ascended masters like Krishna, Christ, Saint Germain. And the reason for that is that these these characters that have this Christ consciousness, because Krishna talks about Krishna consciousness, Christ talks about Christ consciousness, and Saint Germain, he's the person that talks a lot about I am. They're my role models because I realize that the only way I am going to get out of what is here and what's going on in this world is for me to transcend it. And I have to literally vibrate at a much higher frequency than everything is vibrating. And I want to be able to just disappear. So I'll explain that a little bit because so that people can understand where I'm coming from. So if you take water and you freeze it, water will be solid. And that's because the atoms are vibrating at such a slow frequency, slow rate, slow velocity, slow speed, that it becomes solid. When you take it out and have it at room temperature, it's liquid. So it's vibrating a little bit faster, but not super fast because it still has a physical, well, it takes the shape of its container. So it has mass, But then when you heat the water becomes steam. The steam is still the water, which was frozen. It's the same element, it's still water. And this is my understanding of how it would be to vibrate at a higher rate, a higher frequency, because you would just disappear. You would not, because again, the water is not being destroyed. The water is just moving at a faster pace. And my take on it is that the only way I'm going to be able to beat this whole system entirely is to vibrate so high that I literally disappear. So for me now, I don't know what happened just now, man. I got kicked out, and
You were speaking about the light body, I believe, or vibrating ascended masters as your role model, and then
yes.
yeah. So we'll pick up there.
So yes, I was saying because you were asking me. I think the question was like, who are my role models and why, right?
Yes.
Right. So basically, my role models now are like all the ascended masters, like Saint Germain, Christ, Krishna, and the reason is that what I am realizing is that true mastery of self is what gives you total freedom, because when you are a master, you have total control of your thoughts and feelings. And like Saint Germain says that thoughts only become real when they are clothed in feelings. And he said that your thoughts and feelings are the two biggest creative powers that you have. So you need to basically be both male and female at the same time. But this is not sex, this is in terms of energy. So masculine energy is very organized, structured, strong. It can be a bit oppressive, but only because of the nature that of the organization. It is very black and white. Masculine energy. Feminine energy now is love, compassion, kindness, empathy, and all those derivatives. So when you put those energies inside of your body to match the masculine energy that we males have, it gives us balance. So you can be strong, powerful, but still kind, soft, courteous, and be of love, So that's the reason why they're my mentor, well, more role models, because I want to be an ascended master. I think that's the ultimate for all of humanity to become the Christ, you know, because we become the Christ. It's a spiritual office. It's like when you become president or prime minister of a country, you are the president or prime minister, but you're also still Adam, you're still Todd, you're still Joseph, whatever, you know what I mean? It's an office, it's a governmental office, but in the flip side, you become the Christ, so it's a spiritual office you attain. So, excuse me, that is why they are my role models now because you know you get total freedom from the body because the body can be corrupted, but the heart is really pure with the spirit, you know?
Yeah, it's a state of being. Like Christ consciousness is a state of being. It's not like one person. Like your water analogy, for example, like it's still water. It's just in a different part. It's expressing itself in a different manner, right?
Correct.
All right. Question number 11. What quality do you most admire in a woman?
So I was thinking about this just now, and right now, because of the way the world is, I would say, firstly, she has to be a free thinker. And I know it's asked for one quality, but she also has to be a person that does not live in fear and is willing to take risk. Because for me to have a woman in my life, she has to have to be a free thinker, and she has to be a person that does not live in fear, or at least understands what her fears are and is working towards overcoming them. Because we all, you know, have things we fear. But those are the qualities I admire in a woman because today, most women, I mean, most people to be fair, but it affects women a lot more than it does men for reasons because of sex, right? And I only learned this as I've been talking to like my mother and my sister, other girlfriends that I know that basically, and we men don't really realize this, but women are constantly in fear for whatever reason, right? And obviously, fear is a negative energy. So then now it affects how they think about themselves or feel about themselves. You know, their women are less willing to take risk than men. But I mean, now we have the equal beta male thing. Now is like that's even becoming a just as the same. But yeah, so I would say quality is free thinker, and then I would add on to that a person that doesn't live in fear. I would say the qualities that I most admire in a woman.
Well said. Question number 12. What is the most courageous thing you have ever done or seen in your life?
Wow. The most courageous thing that I have ever done was literally giving up my life in the UK to come to live in Mexico with no friends, no contacts, knowing nothing, and just subconsciously trusting that it would all work out. You know, like I came here for holiday and basically got stuck during the pandemic and never went back to the UK. And at the time when it was happening, I didn't really think it was courageous. But when I think about it, it actually is the most courageous thing I've done because I could easily have gone back and going back into that same life, that I was doing. And it takes a lot of courage to give up everything to come and live in a country, different language, different culture, different way of being, knowing no one, have no contacts. Yeah, that's I would say that's the most courageous thing I've ever done, and it is actually borne fruit because like all the things that I said to people were going to happen have happened and are happening, and it's like, wow, people only now catching up to where I was, what I was saying, and I'm like, I feel vindicated all the time by my choice, But honestly, I was terrified to do it, but I did it anyway. So I think that's when you show real courage, and you're really courageous to just trust and try your best.
Absolutely. Especially, I mean, yeah, especially with the way things are now, and and it sounds like you're able to move your business along with you too, and that went
Yeah,
smoothly.
yeah. But the business actually got created while I was here because it was through the refinement period where like I was trying another business and that wasn't really going so well. And the like a few months before, like 2 months before, I had done ayahuasca, and I was dating this girl in Chile, so I went to Chile to see her, and I ended up missing my flight on the way back. So I was in the airport for like 18 hours or something like that. And as I was there sitting down, just like pissed off because I had to spend so much money to get back because I missed my flight. Not really due to my own fault. It was just the way things work in Chile that it just takes longer. Anyway, and a voice just came into my head and said, do fitness. And I'm like, no. Voice said, well, have you tried it? I was like, no, and I don't want to try it. The voice was like, well, why not? I said, well, because I got to be talking about stuff on social media and doing videos and writing posts, and I don't want to do that. The voice said to me, have you tried it? I said, no, I don't want to. And it said, you're going to do it. And that was the end of that, to be honest with you. It just, one thing led to the next and it just grew. So what I'm doing now is nothing that I ever wanted to do. But what I tell people all the time is that the things that you don't want to do or the things that scare you the most are the things that give you the most growth in your life. And this is why now my mindset is I'm very comfortable being uncomfortable. And I think that part of that mindset came from learning languages. So I'm fluent in Spanish and Portuguese. And when you speak a different language, there's a phase you go through where you feel you're scared. I don't want to use the word scared, but you're a bit apprehensive to talk because you are thinking, well, maybe I'm going to say this thing wrong, and maybe my pronunciation is not good, etc., etc. So what happens is that the only way to get better is to actually make mistakes and to speak and to communicate. And what happened is that I just got so accustomed to bastardizing the words, using words incorrectly, not understanding, just being totally uncomfortable, that now I am comfortable being uncomfortable. So they're almost like the same thing. Yes, I don't want to do it. Yes, I don't like it, but I'll do it anyway. So at the end of the day, as long as you keep taking the action, then you get into a state where it's like, all right, well, it's just like anything else. You know what I mean? There's a process to learn, and you just go through it. So it is something that I would say, yeah, that was the most courageous thing I've ever done. Just trusting, like, like honestly, right, dude? No, I think back out of it, right? But I guess because I was in such a state where I was tired of suffering. But I didn't know what that would look like how not suffering would look like. So I just like came here and trusted and let go, and eventually just started doing this fitness thing. And now I do podcasts as well, and I really like it. And I guess from doing over 400 videos like on my social media profile, you get accustomed to speaking in front of a camera now. So, and again, I was not scared of doing videos, but I wasn't comfortable, you know. But now I do it so much that you just get comfortable doing it. So it's just like, okay, next thing.
Right? It's all about the repetition, all about the reps.
All about the reps.
And that brings us to the capstone question. Question 13. What does it mean to be a man in today's world?
This is a great question. And I can take a couple of seconds here to think so I can articulate my point well. Okay. So To be a man in today's world, a man needs to have courage. A man needs to stand up for his beliefs and be willing to die literally for his beliefs. Because if a man accepts anything, he will basically, no, how does it go? If you accept this little thing that they're doing to you, it means you'll accept everything. And strong men bring good times, and weak men bring hard times. And the thing is that men, yes, we have shaped the society for both good and bad, but the role of a man, how I see it, is that the divine masculine, he creates an environment for the divine feminine to enter. And when you read books like the Book of Jasher, you read the Nag Hammadi texts, you realize that the divine masculine and divine feminine have different attributes. They both need each other to coexist. So the man is strong and powerful. He creates the space for the divine feminine to enter. According to the book of Joshua, Adam told his son Seth that it was his mother Eve, so his wife Eve, that gave him consciousness. And she taught him all of these things that he was telling Seth. And this goes along the lines when you read Pista Sophia and the Nag Hammadi text, where Sophia was the god of wisdom. She was also known as Barbello. She was also known as Zoe, the Zoe. In some other texts, you have those words, Barbello or Zoe. And she, the feminine energy, is the creator. Because don't forget, children come out of a womb, right? So she is the bearer, the giver of life. But she couldn't conceive without the seed of a man. So a man is still important. So the man now, the masculine, you're supposed, our job is to be strong, stand up for what you believe in, and create that space so the feminine can be vulnerable. And when you do that now, you will learn from her, that feminine energy, right? How to have feelings, how to care, how to be compassionate, how to be kind, how to have empathy. Because a lot of men, we don't have those traits by default. And women have them because they produce children. So they have a lot of these hormones hardwired in them. And today what's happening is that men are very, very weak in general. We're not standing our ground. The guys that lived 80 years ago, 100 years ago, that went to world wars, they fought right or wrong for what they believed in. We're like lambs to the slaughter. We're not even lions, man. We're lambs. We're just standing up there, drinking our soya milk and flipping, accepting whatever the powers that shouldn't be are telling us. We're so beta, we can't even chase a girl properly. When it comes with their chastity, you know, where you would flirt and, you know, have a personality to attract a girl and, you know, just be that guy, you know what I mean? Now people just into all this texting thing, you know. We've devolved so far from being men that now we're lambs. You know, we just put on our mask, get our jabs, and just worship government God. And, you know, that's not what a man is. A man is strong and powerful, but he has to have still those feminine energetic qualities, which is why Christ said that you be wise as a serpent and soft as a dove. You know, a serpent is very, very clever. He has guile, right? So in being clever, you know when to use your strength and when not to use it. And you be soft like a dove, which is like the feminine part, where you would be able to give love because you are love. You can't have the strength without the softness, which is where I like when you said that Bryce says that my yoke, no, my burden is no how it goes. My yoke is easy and my burden is light. Yes, right? And this is what we need to embody, you know? But today, we men, and to be fair, it is an emasculation process going on because the powers that shouldn't be know all too well that strong men bring good times and that strong men would never stand up for this. Like, strong men would be literally in the street fighting police because the police are the gang, the police are part of the cartel. What people don't understand is that the world is run by an international, multi faceted criminal cartel syndicate that own this planet lock, stock, and barrel. It is their planet, right? We are just we just inhabit it. However, there are few and we are many. So if we push back and say no, that's the line in the sand, they will back down because their power is based on our acquiescing. You know, our acquiescence is what it is. So today, to be a man, you have to stand up for yourself. And I give you a fun story here. So a few weeks ago, I went into the Starbucks because I drink tea, right? Because I always invite people for like a date, but I will always say tea or coffee. They drink the coffee, I drink the tea. So when I went in there, because in Mexico now, I don't care about mask anymore, bruv. I literally just walk in your establishment now and I just pretend sometimes I don't speak Spanish and just walk away and leave them, right? So the guard came to me to tell me that I need to put on my mask. I said to him, dude, I'm in a line looking to pay for these things, the beverages. Those people there sitting down without mask and they're having tea. What's the difference between them sitting down drinking and me standing here? He started to want to get aggressive with me. I said to him, dude, it doesn't make sense. So I literally said, look, I am not wearing a mask. And I turned my body. So I blocked him like that and stopped talking to him, right? So the manager came and he spoke to me. He was a lot more. You see, this is the thing though, right? My mother always says it is not necessarily what you say, but it's how you say. So the manager came over to me, he was talking to me, and I told him, look, this is rubbish. He actually said, yes, it is, right? But he says, look, and he was very polite, right? He says, just put it on, and when you sit down, you can take it off. So I did, I put it under my beard. So it was a beard warmer. He said, thank you, and that was it, right? Because I stood my ground, right? But because I was there with a friend, I didn't want to cause a scene, right? So I put it on and he spoke to me in English as well. You know, I got my tea and coffee. That was it. So last night I went in there and the same guard, right? He was asking me, you want gel? I was like, no, thank you. He was like, gel. I was like, no. And then I spoke to him in English and he says, no, thank you. They was like, I remember you, my friend. Okay, no problem, right? And all of that happened. Why? Because I stood my ground, right? I told him I'm not wearing a mask and I'm not using gel, right? And everybody else was in the line with their slave mask, right? And I was the only one in the line without a mask. And he come pat me on my shoulder like, my friend, it's okay, no problem. You know what I mean? So that long, short story is just to say to the men, you must stand your ground. Because if you don't stand your ground for what you believe in, you will be stamped on, right? And you have to have the mentality that you rather die on your feet than be a slave on your knees and be living. What's the point in living when you're on your knees begging, Massa, can I do this? Can I do that? No, sort that. You be a man, you stand up, there will be consequences. You may lose some stuff. Well, I know what that's like. I lost almost everything. You know what I'm saying? So, no one can come and tell me what it's like to lose almost everything, and to start literally from scratch. I've done it. So my point is that to be a man today is you have to, first thing first, have principles, have have your whatever your beliefs are, you have to stand your ground. And as long as you're based in truth and love, the universe has this strange way that it rewards courageous people. And I'm telling you, I will never wear another mask in that Starbucks ever again. I mean, I used to always have it as a beard warmer, to be honest, but not even that, because 2.5 years is enough time. I'm done,
I know, man.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's my thing about being a man today.
Well said. Good story, and I like how you said that. They are few and we are many, right? And the more that we stand up, it doesn't take that many of us to stand up, even though that we are many. I mean, there's a few of them, so it only takes a few of us, really, if you think about it. And then going back to, it's funny that you mentioned tea because I was thinking about the uh, the Boston Tea Party where the colonies revolted against British.
Yeah.
Tea into the harbor, and that was over a 3% tax. And now, that mentality just doesn't exist, at least for the most part, the majority that I see now. Anyway, but it's just funny. Yeah.
Yeah, look, it used to be the world supplied and provided for you, nature, everything around. Now, it's programs and systems and in plastic bags. You're not actually involved in the cultivation, picking, like you don't see those things. You're in an office with a dead tree bleached and cut into a square.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And go ahead.
It's when you actually look at history and the way they've set it up, it has taken them many, many thousands of years to get to this point here. And this point here is the point they always wanted us, because a lot of people don't even know that food comes from farms. A lot of people don't even understand that without farmers, we would starve. A lot of people don't realize that, being able to have your own food, your own chickens, goats, sheep, whatever your fancy, what I mean? That allows you to be able to, survive a lot more of a less dependent life on the state, because government is an unnecessary evil. Like when you actually dig into the history of government, I mean, I know that's not really on topic here, but I'll just give a little bit of a sneak peek of the stuff that I really talk about and teach. So there's a group of deities called the Anunnaki, which were in the Babylonian, the Assyrians, and the Chaldeans time. We're talking thousands of years ago. And their tablets, their cylinder scrolls, and all were written in cuneiform. And they show that these beings are quite possibly advanced humans or humanoid, advanced hominids, because they walk on their upright legs and they look like us and they have sexual reproductive organs like us. They introduced all of these things, and they introduced the 3 systems of control that we have today: government, religion, and money. Money was born in Babylon under under the chief god of Babylon called Marduk. He was also known as Baal, Moloch, etc. Yes, they always have many names because that's the way they confuse us. Then you have, and he also invented the first religion in Babylon, right? My research shows that it seems that that was where Judaism seemed to have born. But they have 2 sets of Jews. You have the Talmudic Jews, then you have the Jews that are the Orthodox Jews. The Talmudic Jews that's a different sect. Then you have government. Again, he was the one that introduced government, because on the Sumerian kings list, it says that and the kingship was lured from heaven to earth. Now, heaven just means the sky. And the word Anunnaki means those from heaven to earth came. So when you actually go back into the text, you realize that all of these things that we have today are actually alien to this planet. They never existed before, and they introduced it. And their offspring are the aristocrats, the prime ministers, the presidents, the monarchies, they are their descendants, right? This is why they think they have a divine right to rule, right? And this is why you find that they're interbreed in that circle to keep the bloodline, the RH negative pure, and also to keep the systems of control in that circle, right? So when you look at it, it's like, you know, it's not who we are and what we are. We've been brainwashed, indoctrinated, and dumbed down to believe we are this little small little thing when we all are God. We all are great. We all have power. We are powerful. We are infinite. Because religion tells you, do this, you live forever. Do that, you die forever. Well, there's only one thing that's in common between dying forever and living it forever, and that's one word: forever. You just pick your address. You know what I mean? So it means then that in reality, you can't die, because if people use logic, if you live forever and then you die forever, well, I thought you could only die once, right? So if you die forever, it means you actually really can't die. It means you're an immortal being. Your spirit is forever. So you just pick your address. You pick what energy you want to align to. So when you pick the love energy, that's then you can have confidence, courage, strength, power. And also when you need to have that softness about you, you can have that, right? Because like with that guard in Starbucks, I was very firm with him. But when the manager came over to me now, I realized that because he came to me in such a different way and communicated, he got me to put on a mask, even though it was a beard warmer, right? And he said, thank you, and left. And this, you don't always have to be hard and like aggressive. There's a time where you be to stop people from trying to take an advantage of you, and then there are other times where you can say, okay, well, I can play this little game with you, and me keep the peace, and I get my tea, and all good. So there's the nuances that men we need to learn today: when to be tough, and then when to be soft, like a dove. Then you can actually be perfectly balanced. And this is why I think one of the things that we men really lack, that real balance. And this is what I'm striving for, to have that balance where I will push back when you come at me. But if you come at me in a decent way, well, there's no need for me to attack you, because you're not attacking me, right? So I can play your little stupid games, me, as long as I'm getting what I want still, and no one's getting hurt, and me, so okay, well, it's a win because I got what I want. I'm semi-compliant, right? But when you have to be that guy, you be that guy. You have to be able to flip it on a switch. But you know what I mean? We men, we're so imbalanced where it's either you acquiesce 100% or you're aggressive 100%. You can't be that. So it's tough to be a man now, but I think that's what a real man is: has the ability to be strong in the moments where strength is required, and then be soft on the times where he has to be soft.
Yeah, it's very much a balancing act, right? And I appreciate the way you broke it down with your explanation, especially the ancient alien history stuff. I'm all about that. I think we have an episode 098. It's aliencarvings.com. I think you should check that out. You'd really enjoy that guy. I know this is an audio only, but he's been collecting these artifacts. I know you'll get a kick out of this. I've been coming out of the ground in Mexico, where you are.
Wow.
And
Yeah, wow.
these are like laser etched. I think that's
Yeah.
the artist, but yeah, this guy has got a channel on Instagram that he posts pictures of this kind of stuff. He's got a huge collection of it all the time, and the Mexican government doesn't recognize it as legitimate because it's got UFOs all over it, right? So this can't be old. This only has to be around as long as the UFO has been in the mindset, right? Which is the Roswell area, 40s, 50s, maybe, I don't know. But Sue, I love it. I love if listeners wanted to check out more of your work, where would they be able to best find you on the internet?
So, firstly, I want to say thanks for having me today. It was an absolute pleasure talking to you and Adam. I really enjoyed this conversation. And for anyone that wants to find me, you can find me. I only use social media at the moment because I am an online fitness trainer. So what I do is that I teach fitness, but I merge it with consciousness and spirituality. So this is why I can talk about the topics I talk about so well, because that is who I am, right? So my take on it is that you go through the body in order to create a new self, because you are a mind, body, spirit complex. And when you start to exercise and train, it raises your vibration. You become a different person because you create, firstly, new habits. When you create new habits, you create new neurons in the brain. And we know that neurons that fire together wire together. This opens up a space now of a possibility to be able to learn new things, read books, understand the information, and increase your consciousness. So when people find me on social media, you will see that is a mix of consciousness, spirituality, talking a little bit what's going on in the world. But because of social media, I write in parables, like how Christ spoke, because I'm not trying to communicate to everyone. I'm trying to communicate to the people that understand and that can see what is, the gems have dropped, because you have to protect the information so that you don't get censored and taken off, right? Because again, like you said, is about finding that balance. So you will see that I write a little bit cryptically, you know what I mean? But mix it in with fitness and spiritual consciousness. So anyone that one is interested to learn a little bit more of these things, because I've got tons of books that I've read on my page, and also everyone that's interested in getting into the best shape of their life, with a system that is completely different, because I focus a lot on the mind and the mindset. And yes, getting fit at the same time, but the body never achieves what the mind doesn't believe. So I work with you to hack your mind, to help you to realize you can do it, and give you the belief that you can take this journey, because a lot of people are afraid to get themselves in shape, and because they will lose some friends, and may have to change their habits and social activities, etc., etc. So if anyone wants to find me and they're interested in working with me, chat with me, ask me any questions about anything, you can find me on Instagram at Adriano_246, or on Facebook, my name, Todd Cave, TODDCAVE. And yeah, you can add me, send me a message, inquire if you want to get in shape, because I'm a different type of a trainer. Because I always say that I help spiritually inclined people burn fat and build muscle. And none of my students are vaxxed. None of my students believe in the system. They all understand. And it's because, and I ask them sometimes, but why you want to work with me? This is about Todd. First and first, you're not going to go and tell me to go and get these jabs. Secondly, you actually like offer more than just getting fit, because you can tell someone eat less and exercise, job done, mate. You don't need anyone. But because I work with you on a one-to-one level, and I mentor you and teach you and coach you and pass all the hacks and the tips that I've learned from many of my mentors, I offer a lot of value in that sense, because it's more than just getting fit. Is actually to create your new life, and we need lions and lionesses today. If not, we're going to see our civilization disintegrate, to be honest. And in order to fight back, you need to have a fit body, because you may actually, some of us may actually have to fight, so you can't fight literally physically with a weak body, so this is why I do what I do. So Adriano_246 on Instagram, or Todd Cave on Facebook.
All right. The links will be in the show notes for the listeners. And Todd, thank you for carving out some time to spend with us on Saturday. I know we had a little bit technical difficulties there, but I think we made it through all right. And yeah, dude, thank you once again.
Yeah, thanks to you as well, man. I'm honored and blessed and humbled to be on your platform, and I hope that the information I shared today, and you all shared as well, can touch, move, and inspire people, that they can pick up their cross and do the hard work on themselves and improve themselves. Because again, the only way to change the world is if we change ourselves, and we can't give someone something that we don't already have. So if you want to live in a world of love, happiness, and abundance, You need to become love, happiness, and abundance so that you can share from the overflow that you have, and you give the love, happiness, and abundance to others. Because love is not an emotion, love is an action. You do love. You don't feel love. Your love is being kind, compassionate, and all the positive derivatives from love. That is love. It's an action. It never stops. And this is what people need to understand. We need to work on ourselves because we are under attack. And, I'm just one of these, like, I'm a bit like of a hybrid where I'm a fitness guy, but talks about these things, So it's a very unique combination because I've never seen anyone online that actually mixes the two the way I do, And I guess it's like what Plato said, that you need to become the athlete and the scholar, and that is literally who I am. I'm both the athlete and the scholar.
Why is one man rich and another man poor? Why we ain't satisfied? Why we gotta have more? Why your suicide rates on the rest so high? Why I tell you the truth but you say don't lie? Why is being a good father at an all-time low? Why is it acceptable? Yo, why? I don't know. Why she blame him and he blame her? It's useless. Ask yourself this question. Why you making excuses? Why do parents gotta bury their kids? Why we text and drive, not caring how scary it is? Why it's so hard to forgive and leave the past behind? And if you did, then that's divine. Why don't you help your brother when you see him fall? Why do we act like God don't see it all? Why do we call them black, them white, them Asians and use labels? Now that's racism.
I don't wanna why? 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 I don't wanna
Why is there innocent people locked up for life, while some people can't say nothing nice? Why do we always gotta question what all of it means? And why won't you follow your dreams? Tell me why. The night when you took my dad, why'd you let me see my grandpa cry? And tell me why. And why do you choose to hide, even though you was born to fly? And tell me why. And why don't we turn from all the hate? And why don't we learn from all mistakes? Why do I keep on wrecking these fat beats? And teachers don't make more than professional athletes? And why? And why? And why? And why? And why? And why?
I don't wanna why? I don't wanna why? I don't wanna why? I don't wanna why? I don't wanna why? I don't wanna why? I don't wanna why? I don't wanna why?
This should be considered entertainment and not therapy. We hope you benefit from our resources available at 13questionspodcast.com. Thank you for listening.